103.5 FM and 1490 AM. This is Matt Santos filling in for the ever vacationing Leza LaChapelle-Dandos. Maddie Hinshaw, where's she at now?
She's in California. Carlsbad, I think. Right, Drew?
Wow.
Is that the Caverns? Is that Carlsbad? No. Where's that?
No.
I don't travel much. Drew. So how you been, Matt? I have not seen you, it seems like forever, but it's only been a couple of weeks. How you been?
Just busy, like you.
Busy?
Same old, same old.
I have not been busy lately. I've been, compared to most, I've actually been catching up on some sleep.
Then how come we haven't been hanging out?
Because I've been enjoying myself.
Oh, fair enough.
No,
I get it.
No, I have been. If some of you listening may know me from being on this show, some may not. But just to give you a little background, I do marketing work for a bunch of different organizations in the area, including the Chino Valley Unified School District. I take care of all their public information stuff, monitoring their web, social media, all that good stuff, press releases. Which brings up who our guests will be on Wednesday. Josh Cook, the new athletic director for Chino Valley High School. But since school let out, I've actually had some time to relax a little bit, spend some time with my son, who is just finished his freshman year of high school, and getting some projects done around the house.
How's the boat?
The boat is still on a trailer. Which one? Well, one of them's perfectly fine. The other one is still stripped down. I got. We're going to introduce our in-studio guest in a moment here, but when COVID hit, I developed an allergy. It had nothing to do with bronchial things or viruses. I developed an allergy to money, evidently, because I bought a boat. I live in the desert and bought a boat right in smack dab in the middle of COVID. A small one, 15-foot fiberglass little with a tiller motor, and we take it locally. We've taken it up to Havasu a couple times. A lot of fun. And then I had a relapse and got really sick with my allergy to money and bought a pontoon boat 2 years later and got such a great deal on it, but I stripped it all down with the plan of about 3-4 years ago to have it on the lake that summer, and it is still all stripped down in my yard. But I have all the parts for it, and I just haven't put it back together yet.
You've always had an allergy to money, though.
No,
Long time.
Yeah, this has developed into a cancerous form, though, I think.
It's a tumor.
I'm hemorrhaging money. At least I'm not going out buying bikes like crazy, like you and Drew.
No, that's just Drew.
No, I haven't bought any bikes in a while.
Drew, what do you got? You're a motorcycle enthusiast and avid rider. How many do you have?
Enough.
The
right amount to have is just one more, though.
The right amount is, now you sound like a musician with guitars.
Well, same thing.
Maddie, you been out riding lately?
Yeah, I was out zipping around yesterday a little bit.
On the new one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it goes fast.
It goes fast.
Yeah.
I have...
what do you think of it?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Isn't it beautiful color?
It's not necessarily my style of bike. I did get a chance to hop on it and take it around. What is it you got again? It's a
Victory Hammer. It's
Hammer.
like Drew's. Drew has a blue one.
I'm more of the large cruiser style. I like to ride around in comfort. It's my bikes are like driving down the highway on a Lazy Boy recliner, and I really enjoy it. But
and that's why they make them.
Yeah. So what I have been doing the last 4 or 5 days is getting some handyman stuff done around the house. So my son Anthony and I, we're doing some electrical work, which means we are firm supporters of the local fire districts, because I'm fairly confident our house will be burned down in the next week or so.
I was going to say, make sure you're paid up with the fire department.
Oh, man, it is.
And the insurance is paid.
Installing some outdoor lighting fixtures and outlets and running Romex and and a lot of yelling and throwing of tools happens whenever I do that.
Father and son bonding.
Father and son bonding. We have a rule in our house: when I work on the car, he has to stay in the house, because that type of language is not suitable for a 15-year-old boy.
Oh, I figured he was the one with the language.
No. I am not. I am a graduate of YouTube University for all things handy.
How's he supposed to learn?
Yeah, he was actually doing a tire repair yesterday for one of our friends. She picked up a screw in her tires, so she brought it over, and he did the puncture repair and all that, and he did a very good job. So
good.
If you see a black Honda Pilot stranded on the side of the road today, that is hers and the handiwork of my son. So,
good choice in vehicles.
well, let's.
I was going to say, I thought it was going to be Matt's vehicle when you said a black Pilot.
No, so we do have a guest in studio today, Mr. Mark Domingo, who is all right. Swallow before you speak, there, Mark. He is well. Introduce yourself, Mark.
Yes.
You are a new-ish member to our local healthcare community here in Yavapai County, Dignity Health YRMC to be exact.
Yes.
What is it you do, Mark?
Well, I am just 7 months in Prescott. I moved from Las Vegas, Nevada, from our sister hospitals in St. Rose. I
Nice.
am the mission leader. I am director of mission and community health for Dignity Health YRMC.
Give a little outline of what that is. Now, in my limited interaction with you, and we've done some projects together for some events and things, you're not necessarily working with patients. Is that safe to say?
That is safe to say.
Matt, calm down. He can't write prescriptions. But what is it that you do? What is it you're involved with, you and your department?
So I wear two big hats. The first one being is the mission leader, and I work with our organization on how do we flow with our mission when it comes to some of the decisions that we make within the hospital, when it comes to staff being much more connected with the work that we do, the work that is much more meaningful and purposeful, given that our organization is mission driven, that we're here to serve our community, advance social justice, and to take care of our community as its best need possible. And then community health is the other hat that I do wear. One of my favorite quotes that I like to use to sum up community health is a big responsibility, and that quote is, if our hospital beds are full, that means we failed.
Yeah.
So that speaks capacity of what I do. It's making sure that our community is healthy. They're well connected with the resources in the community. We have partnerships that will uplift them to keep them away from getting into our hospital.
Now, part of what you do in that community relations and connecting with the community is supporting other organizations in the way of how Dignity and Common Spirit reaches out to the community and supporting them. And I don't think I have seen smiles as big as I did in an event we did a few months ago. You were you had the privilege and the opportunity to present some of those big Happy Gilmore golf checks to the community.
That was an exciting event.
Before we get into the details on that,
yeah.
I want you to talk a little bit about where that went. How does that make you feel when you're able to not just give back to the community, but give to the community in ways that are real tangible?
It takes a village. I mean, to really help out our community, it takes a lot of different efforts, a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of experience. And to be able to uplift our community and giving them $239,000 under our community health improvement plan has been incredible. I mean, that event, they had this giant board of check, but they were certainly much happier when they actually got the paper check in mail. But it was such a joy celebration, and to work alongside some incredible partnership that we've had, from the Prescott Cupboard to the Polera Health to some of the organizations out there that's really consistently providing the best services out there is such a great opportunity to just be around those people and to explore more collaboration and new possibilities.
Now, when you talk about not just giving back to the community, but keeping the community healthy, some of the organizations that were represented there got up and talked about where that money was going, where they're putting it to use. One of them, Matt Hinshaw here, was not the organization itself, but the activity. It was the local mountain. I should have done my homework on where it went to, but they expanded some of the trails in the National Forest for mountain biking and things, making them safer for the folks that are out there. Obviously, in real time, that means less injuries, less chance of injuries and things like that. But also just the ability to expand that sport, that activity, especially in the area we live in.
Yes.
It's very popular. That's just promoting healthy living across the board.
In general.
So as you go through and ID these organizations, what were some of the ones that were represented that day? Do you have them off the top of your head?
Yeah, so
we've got notes. We've got lots of notes.
We got lots of good notes here today for everyone.
Here it is. on this. So
CCJ.
coalition- yeah.
For the homeless population, the unhoused population, we have the Hushabye Nursery, providing healthy moms and families with services based on substance abuse and how we can go ahead and empower them. The International Mountain Bicycling Association is the one that we just talked about.
So these organizations, do they reach out to you? Do you and your folks go through the community and say, look, this is something we'd like to support, or is it a combination of both of that? You reaching out and them reaching to you?
A little bit of both. So we do have, I could talk about this later on, but our community health needs assessment, and that's the basis of the strategies that we have on finding these partnership. Every single 3 years, the hospital conducts a community health needs assessment. And from there, we kind of determine what are the top priorities our communities are facing when it comes to the needs. The two that we've identified in 2023 was access to care and healthy lifestyle and behavior. And that's really what grounds us finding the different projects and partners we want to go with to address those needs. Because we know the hospital can't do it by themselves. You know, we can't just do all of these things, but really takes partnership with the other agencies that we talked about to address the needs.
Nice. Now, we're going to get into some more details of what you do, where you focus your efforts and stuff. But before that, you mentioned you've been here 7-ish months.
7 months.
Little over half a year. I do
Yes.
my math. So 6 would be half a year, Matt, and then 7 is more than that. So more than half a year you've been here.
A new local.
That's my public education math skills at work. You came from Vegas. How long had you been in Nevada, in the Vegas area?
For 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So I was born and raised in the Philippines and then moved to America when I was 11. It was when we had a nursing shortage. So both my mom and my dad are both nurses. In the early 2000s, they were recruited to go live in Los Angeles and be nurses there. And that's kind of how we landed in America. And
so at 11 years old, you come from the Philippines to the States. Now, 11, you're already getting your feet planted and stuff. How was that? What was the feeling for 11-year-old Mark coming to the States? Were you excited?
It was more so excitement. I
Yeah.
feel like coming from the Philippines, where I lived in the city, and also my mom lived in the province. So a lot of rice paddies, that was my usual. And for me to transplant from an environment like that into Los Angeles, central Los Angeles, it was so different, but it was so fun.
Talk a little bit about your childhood, the 11 years before coming in. Now, a little background on me, if anybody listening knows me personally. My wife was born in the Philippines. She was part of a very large family in the Philippines, but she moved to the States when she was 5. So she has very distinct memories of those first 5 years. And then in her childhood after and into her high school age, she would go back and forth visiting family and stuff. So she comes from a very traditional Filipino household. And then we grew up near each other, didn't meet each other till many years later. We actually went to high school together, had mutual friends, never met. But the Bay Area where I grew up, in the San Francisco Bay Area, was very multicultural. And she lived in a part of the area that had a very large Filipino population. So she still has those roots.
Yes.
When
the comfort.
She has a lot of very distinct memories of growing up where she did. But you mentioned you're in Manila.
I was in Manila, central
very
Manila.
densely populated. And then
Yes.
Mom from the provinces. You spent some time out in the country as well?
Yes, so every other weekend we would travel back
nice.
home to where my mom lived with my grandpa and visit and hang out with my cousins there. And it was both fun because you get away from such a populated area in the town that my dad lived, and we would travel about 2 hours north in Bulacan, which is the province my mom lived, and just the vast rice paddies that they had up there, and you could see the different animals in the farms, and that was perfectly what I enjoyed, and really my cousins and I would be playing and trying to climb trees and get mangoes and just the simplicity of life. And I think that's what I'm resonating now with living here in Prescott. It's just this simplicity of it, and to be in nature. I feel like I've always felt God in the nature setting, and I've always felt such a closeness to my faith in nature, and I get that here. So
we're going to take a break in a little bit. What do we got? What do we got on time? About a minute or so. You can talk, Matt. It's okay. You can talk.
Why do you want me to talk? I'm just trying not to interrupt your conversation.
Well, to get back, I want to hear a little bit more about your first, Mark, about your first.
How I got started.
No, well, we're going to talk a little bit about. I
right.
still want to delve into when you first got to L.A. What were
Okay.
your first impressions of the U.S., how it contrasted, what Vegas was like when you got there, and then
Viva
from
Las Vegas.
from Vegas to the big city
Yes.
of Prescott, Arizona. I know for me it was a culture shock coming. I went from a very small town of about 150,000, that was considered small town, to Paulden, Arizona, which at the time was 3,900. It was
difference.
quite a big difference for
Yes.
me, quite a big cultural difference from my wife when she came from very racially mixed San Francisco Bay Area to Chino Valley. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I want to get some of your impressions and, of course,
absolutely.
dive in deeper to what it is that you do for Dignity, how that affects the community, and, of course, multiple weather reports from Drew
Exciting
when we
stuff.
return on Leza Live on KYCA News Talk Radio. And we are back on KYCA News Talk Radio. Speaking of hard to handle, Drew, locked in his cage. How you doing, Drew?
Doing wonderful. And yourself?
I am doing fine. What's the weather out there? I need a weather report.
Warm, sunny.
Can you expand a little bit? Is it motorcycle weather? Did you ride in today?
Of course I did.
What'd you ride in on?
KTM Dual Sport,
Dual Sport. What size is that?
500.
500. I would need one for each foot. Thank you.
Well, that might be the case.
Those are beautiful bikes, so those are
No,
nice.
it works. It's I'd like to keep them all exercised. Ride one every couple days, a little different.
I got to
But we're gonna have a nice day to ride. It's only
Nice.
going to be 83 today, which is about our normal temperature.
I enjoy riding in the summertime. I'm not a cold. I'm a fair weather rider.
Yeah.
I have difficulty riding in the cold. I get cramped up on my hands, and I don't have those heated gloves like you guys do. Do you got some?
I don't have heated gloves.
No?
No,
I
you
just
need
have regular
heated grips.
gloves. Yeah.
You heated grips.
There you go.
Yeah.
Heated seat. Absolutely.
I know Drew is after many years of riding and seeing the good and the bad of the asphalt. I know, Drew, you are a proponent of all things safety on two wheels and all the protective gear. I try to be, but I struggle when I'm wearing gloves, and I struggle with leathers. It's just too hot and constrictive, but I know what's good for me. I know I should be.
Well, that is a decision that you get to make.
Yeah.
Sometimes you make a decision and then you have to accept the consequences.
I worry, though.
Like skin grafts.
My wife always likes to remind me when I go for a ride. She likes to remind me that Arizona is not a mandatory helmet state. And she always tells me, don't wear a helmet. She wants the wind to blow through my hair, and it worries me. That
It should.
I don't even have any life insurance, so I guess I'm worth more gone than I am. What do you think?
Well, I would think if you had life insurance, then you would be worth at least something.
I
but
would,
I mean,
I would have already been gone.
How do you know that she doesn't have a policy out on you already and she's just waiting?
It could be, but I don't. I don't even think that's the concern.
All right.
It's not the monetary. It's the space I take. It's the space I take.
Mark,
Yeah.
do you really want to meet like Sandra now? Because all Santos does is talk about his wife and how, all these things.
Yeah.
You want to meet her now, don't you?
I as a fellow Filipina, I feel like we'd hit it off.
She's a good judge of character. She's angry at me quite a bit, and justifiably so.
Obviously not that good. She
Yeah.
married you.
I mean, I was gonna. Thank you, Matt. You took it right out of my mouth on that one.
All right, Mark. So you're coming into the States, 11 years old.
Yes.
L.A., is that where you landed?
Los Angeles.
What was your first impressions? What did you think about California? What were you expecting
Hollywood.
California to be like?
That is, I mean, growing up, that was the movies and seeing the Hollywood sign. I thought that was going to be the backyard, and it was in the peripheral view. Yeah, I saw it. But
Yeah.
I lived in San Pascual, which is a very condensed area, which was populated a lot by the Hispanic community.
Gotcha.
And I felt like that was the first culture that I truly resonated with. A lot of similarities with our Hispanic communities and as well as Filipinos.
Even language-wise,
Yes.
there's a lot of shared there. What was you talk about the different foods and things? My wife to this day swears she cannot find a decent mango in the States. What were some of the? Were there some food things that caught you by surprise?
The spice.
Yeah?
The spice. Relatively Filipino food isn't spicy, but Mexican food, Hispanic food is, and I love that. I am such a big spice person, and I mean, if it's not spicy, I tend to just add on hot sauce. and that's-
So, and what age did you go to Vegas?
that would be 2 years later.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So my auntie, my dad's sister, lives in Las Vegas, and an opportunity came up where they had some open nursing job in Vegas, and they made the move from Los Angeles 4 hours later to Sin City.
Yeah.
Viva Las Vegas. And that's been home for about 20 years of my life.
So that was your high school, junior high and high school?
Middle school, high school, college. Basically all my life was in Sin City.
So you mentioned mom and dad both nurses. Is
Yes.
that what drew you to this type of work?
Yes, 100%. So
Did you explore or entertain the idea of going into the actual patient care and the medical field, or have you?
initially, I mean, growing up in the household that we lived in, I had a lot of expectation to follow the route of my parents, and clearly nursing is a pretty successful and great reputation to have, and I pursued it. I was actually a nursing major for about 2 years in college and at UNLV. So shout out Rebels if there's any Rebels out there, and it seems like my vocation was being called elsewhere. And it seemed like nursing just wasn't sticking with me, and I wasn't really finding passion in that work. So I looked into some other arena within healthcare to make sure that my parents are happy and they continue to fund my college education. So I went to healthcare administration and really saw the capacity when it comes to serving at a more administration level of influencing the operations, developing programs and services. And really I took pride in that, and that was such an exciting thing for me. And that opportunity led me into working under Dignity Health St. Rose Dominican, which is our Vegas hospital.
It's interesting from the outsider's point of view when we think of anything, whether it be healthcare, law enforcement, media, whatever. We kind of pigeonhole ourselves and think, well, healthcare is doctors, it's nurses, it's prescriptions, it's treatment, it's ER. And then I do a little bit of work. We've had Dr. Torres in here a few months ago when I was guest hosting for Leza, and we saw his aspect, the administrative end. And then the work that I do some work for Yavapai Regional in their marketing thing. But once you get in there and you see beyond that first desk or the patient care right off the bat, you start seeing the other aspects, the community outreach like you're involved
Lots
with,
of layers.
the mission statement, everything to, even going down to the facilities. It's a whole city on those campuses
Our
where you
own
have
ecosystem.
you have maintenance, you have transportation, you have security, you have this, you have that, and you start to see the organization from a whole different vantage point.
Yes.
And I think that's really important because oftentimes, and as you'll see, same thing when we've talked, and Matt and I, Hinshaw and I have dealt with like law enforcement, first responders on a full nother level in past lives. Oftentimes when people deal with first responders, law enforcement, fire, the medical profession, it's typically on their worst day ever. That's when things are happening.
When they're
That's
most
when
vulnerable.
They're most vulnerable. They're scared. They're hurt. They're in pain, or their loved ones are. So to see your side of it in doing the community outreach, the mission statement, and implementing that in the community and helping in real ways, as you said,
239,000
to go out in the community to make a real difference on a tangible level is not necessarily something that most people see. So that's another reason why we wanted you in here today, is to put a face, and we do have faces. Got your camera right here. To put a face, a name, a voice to the way that Common Spirit, Dignity Health, Yavapai Regional are really making a difference in the community. So talk a little bit more about that. Like I said, we've got some notes here because your story goes much deeper than what we can touch in a 45-minute radio interview.
Sure.
But we're going to go to a break here in a moment. When we come back, I want you to talk a little bit about how your personal goals, what you want to do as a human, what you as Mark Domingo want to do, how that partners with your role within the community, how it enables you to do good and to feel good about yourself. Because in all, what's the old saying? If you have a job that you love, it's like never having to go to work.
Exactly.
So we want to talk a little bit about that, and of course, get another weather update from Drew when we return on KYCA News Talk Radio. We are back on KYCA News Talk Radio. My name is Matt Santos. I am sitting here with Matt Hinshaw. Matt, how are you?
I'm still here.
You're still here?
Is that
Still
good or
pushing
is that
buttons?
bad?
I don't know.
Pushing buttons, doing dials, do hickeys, whatever these things are called. Something.
You speak for a living.
Is that what I do? I don't speak. Well, I spend a lot of time on the phone, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be here. I hope Leza's enjoying her vacation. Mark Domingo from Dignity Health, Common Spirit, YRMC, is in studio with us again. Refresh our listeners on what your specific job title is.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I am Mark Domingo. I am the Director of Mission and Community Health for Dignity Health YRMC.
Now, you've mentioned that, and we've talked about that, the mission statement, the mission, director of the mission. Expand on that a little bit. Give us some details. What exactly does that mean?
Sure. So I just want to read out loud our mission statement, and this is what we represent in the community and larger in the U.S. as we're one of the biggest faith-based healthcare system in the U.S. So as Common Spirit Health, we make the healing presence of God known in our world by improving the health of the people we serve, especially those most vulnerable, while we advance social justice for all. And that's our identity. And as a mission leader, that is the messaging that I try to really connect with our staff members, that instead of it being a mundane task for them for admission and providing care, it really is purposeful, that we are driven by our mission statement to serve the vulnerable and to really make the healing presence of God known in our world. And we do that with more than just words, really through the actions that they have of providing compassion and excellence to every interaction that we have at YRMC.
How does that affect you as Mark, as a person, as a human? How does that, as opposed to, I mean, because you can go, you can have a job doing whatever. You could have a job in corporate America as a salesperson, as a marketing person, as a realtor, as a whatever. And you can gain joy from any aspect of life. But oftentimes, for a lot of us, there's going to work to pay the bills, and then there's coming home or being involved in the community, in service orgs, or in whatever aspect, our families, our friends. And that's where we get our joy from. It seems in our conversation here, you have the best of both worlds. You have your personal life, your family that you can gain joy from, and your activities and your recreation. But you seem to gain a real joy from going in and punching the clock and doing the work.
It's more than work for me.
Yeah. In what ways? Expand on that a little bit. You've talked in general terms about what the mission is, but how does that affect you?
It's a vocation.
Yeah.
So I see it as a vocational call that I got. And I just want to attribute this to Sister Katie, who's one of the sisters in St. Rose Hospitals, still ran by the Adrian Dominican sisters who cultivated that ministry in Vegas, and I get to work with one of them, and she continues to be my mentor. And she really sparked a passion within me of using the gifts and the talents and the blessings that God has given me to serve other people. And that's where I find joy. One of the Adrian Dominican charisms, so that's how the sisters live, is through joy. Yeah. And the work that we do, especially now in healthcare, there's, like you mentioned before, Matt, that we work with a lot of vulnerable people, and often there's chances where they're at the most hardship and they're experiencing pain. Joy, the Dominican charism of joy, is valuable for me to express that, because even though they're at their darkest times in their lives, we have an opportunity to share light and joy and love in the ministry that we have. And that's what separates our company and hospitals from other organizations who work with profit. That's what they seek, is to make profit. But with Dignity Health, we're here and we're promoting and committing to our mission statement. And that's what we live by.
Very nice. Very nice. And again, the goal in having you here and in some of the work that we do and that I do with YRMC is to really put that face on what is a large organization. You're probably one of, if not the largest employers in this area. when it goes down to all the different departments, not just healthcare, but facilities maintenance and all of that. And oftentimes we in the public will look at these organizations, whether it be a municipality, a school district, a company, a hospital, and we just see the logo. We just see the company colors. We just see the name. And it's very important in a community such as ours, a smaller community, to really put a face and a name and a voice to that organization.
I agree.
Because that's how we really can then see the benefits and feel the benefits that any organization is giving back to the community with. We're going to come back from a break in a little bit. I want to hear a little bit more about your first impressions, not just as we did about the States, but about our area, about Prescott. We'll hear a little bit more about that. And, of course, get another weather update with Drew right after these messages on KYCA News Talk Radio. Back on KYCA News Talk Radio. That was a little hot, huh, Matt? I got a
Yeah,
big
well, you
mouth.
finally got close to the mic.
Yeah. Hey, before we get back to our guest, Mark Domingo, want to update you guys. We got a show coming up Saturday, July 19th, with comedian Josh Nove. It's going to be at the Prescott Valley Performing Arts Center, the Main Street Theater, adjacent to Findlay Toyota Center. Josh Nove, Saturday, July 19th, 7 o'clock. It's going to be Josh, myself, and J.C. Anderson, no stranger to these mics. You can get tickets at a place that I can't find right now. I want to find their exact website. Hold on.
I'm going with the internets.
Prescott Valley Community Theater. Prescott Valley Performing Arts is where it's at. You can go, come on, why aren't my fingers working? Why aren't my fingers working, Maddie?
Sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah. Prescott Valley Community Theater. Just find them on Facebook. PV Performing Arts. That's what it is. PV Performing Arts. Online. Saturday, July 19th. Josh Nove. This is a stand-up comedy show with it's a clean show, family orientated. Family can come any age. Just show up. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Be there.
You're
I
filling
speak
in
for a
and-
living too.
Yeah, you're having
My
a really hard
goodness.
time today.
I have. I'm really worried about my house burning down. That's the problem.
At least you're honest.
No, but Josh Novi is out of Phoenix. He tours all over the country. He has a two dry bar specials at Dry Bar Comedy. It'll be him, myself, and J.C. Anderson. Saturday, July 19th. Tickets start, I think, at like $22. It's going to be a lot of fun. J.C. will. Hopefully, he's going to try and be in tomorrow to talk about a couple of upcoming shows he has at the Elks Theater in August. And tomorrow in this studio will be my friend and a frequent guest of this show, Mr. Sky Conwell. He's going to play us a tune or two and talk about his upcoming show Friday night at the Ruth Street Theater at the Prescott High School campus. And then Wednesday will be my last day of the week here, which probably should have been today, I think.
I think it should have been yesterday.
Yesterday, Sunday, when there was no show. Josh Clark, he is the new athletic director at Chino Valley High School. He just started. I think he got in town last week, so we're going to catch up with him. He is also coming from the Los Angeles area, where Mark started his time here in his sentence here in the United States. Tell me a little bit about you. We talked a little bit about your first impressions with the U.S. when you came at 11 years old. 7 months ago, you come to Prescott. What were some of your first reactions coming here?
First thing is I was able to take a breath. Is that an odd thing to say coming from a big city like Vegas coming down here?
Not odd. We have very clear air.
Yeah. Very nice. I was able to take a sigh. I feel like just going here and it being away from a concrete jungle where Elvis is constantly being imitated. It's so nice and very community driven. This community I've learned over the past couple of months. We have great folks wanting to really serve the community as its best because they're the neighbors, they're the folks that they went to school with, they're the people that they see at the grocery store. So very, very close, very tight knit, and that's been such a great advantage when it comes to really rolling out some of our community health initiatives and different programs and what we want to continue fostering. And it's been such an incredible pleasure. I didn't get a lot of that synergy happening in Vegas. There's a lot of silos, but here there's none. There's a very collaborative environment and community too. And the weather as the other difference, coming from 120 degrees into the nice 80s that we have here, that makes a difference. Environment plays a big factor for me. So,
and the altitude, we're a mile up. What's altitude of Vegas?
Very low.
Yeah, it's a lot lower and drier. Now, we're part of the desert. When everybody thinks of Arizona, they think,
just Phoenix.
Tucson, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Dry, but here we've got the beautiful forests, some of our local reservoirs and things. Some of that plays into what you mentioned before. You had mentioned one of your favorite quotes: "If our hospital beds are filled, that means we failed." In the sense of preventative medicine, training, healthy lifestyles, things in that nature. Expand on that a little bit. What role does that play in what you're doing, if we can touch a little bit more on that?
I think it plays in the vulnerability. I mean, within our mission statement of focusing on the vulnerable population, we like to focus with those who don't have access to insurance. So one program that really comes to mind is our Partners for Healthy Students, and it's this mobile unit that we have within YRMC, and they go to different schools, work specifically with uninsured kids, and provide them basic healthcare services.
Now, in my role with the Chino Valley Unified School District, we have one of the largest, just through circumstances, the largest populations of homeless children, unhomed. They're some are living in shelters, some are couch surfing, their families staying with other relatives and things, grandparents and things of that. So that van is a very welcome sight when it does come to our campuses. Catherine Werner, our district nurse, plays a large role in coordinating with Dignity and our school district and those children in need. So watching that really on the ground, boots on the ground level that I get to see with Chino Valley Unified and all the other districts in this area is really good to see. And seeing how that impacts their lives immediately, very tangible. What else you want to hit, Mark? What else we got in here?
I mean, you mentioned about prevention, and then key prevention is really one of the vital pieces that we have under community health. Data showed that 20% for clinical care is what compose of someone achieving an optimal health outcome. The 80% really compose of other factors, like 40% is social economic factors, which includes education, family support, the community safety, access. 10% is physical environment, 30% is healthy lifestyle and behavior. So that 80% is what community health really is all about, because the 20% is happening at YRMC for clinical. And that we're providing the highest quality of care there, but the 80% really lives in the community. How do we provide education? How do you connect people to those resources? And that's what our community health worker program is going to be starting to do. That's a new thing that we're going to be hosting at YRMC, is having community health workers address those socio-economic factors and healthy lifestyle. That's something that's coming down the pipeline, and we're getting that cultivated at YRMC.
We are going to come right back with Mark for a couple last minute thoughts and let him summarize what his goals are here in the community right after these messages on KYCA News Talk Radio. Here, we got a couple of more minutes.
Oh, I'm so sad. It's been such a
Please.
fun chance for you guys. I've been enjoying my time here.
Please let our listeners know anything we haven't touched, something you really want to bring out, and of course, let them know where they can go for more information.
Sure.
The microphone is yours.
Thank you, sir, Captain Matt. So it's really exciting right now in YRMC. I think we're putting such a spotlight when it comes to the value of collaboration, which is one of the values of Common Spirit Health, Dignity Health, and we get to really do that with the partnerships that we have locally. And also I just want to give a shout out to the multiple talent and just gifted people that we have at YRMC who's dedicated and very passionate in serving our community at multiple different levels, from folks from the bedside all the way to our executive team to Dr. Torres. You mentioned our president, and he models our mission and just been such a great leader for us to really follow. There's this innovation happening at YRMC, and it's really exciting to be a part of that as a ministry. I call it a ministry because we've been called to be part of this organization to explore the talents and blessings we've been gifted with, and we get to exercise and practice that every single day. From the community perspective, I also oversee our volunteer services. So if you guys, our listeners today, feel compelled to join Common Spirit Health / Dignity Health at YRMC, I definitely invite you guys to look into our volunteer program. We have a lot of different departments that could use volunteers, from our front desk to helping our staff and the floors. It's an opportunity to really have a collaborative experience and find it really meaningful to be part of YRMC. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity, for you guys, for letting me, have this mic and really talk about YRMC and the things that's happening in our community. There's a lot of excitement, and I just want to continue advocating for that. And for those interested into learning more about YRMC, we have a website at yrmc.org. Look into our services, look into our programs, and see how you can get more involved.
I've had several opportunities to work side by side with a lot of the volunteers there. Great folks doing great work, and just a lot of fun to hang out with.
Yes.
They are
a lot of wisdom they want to impart to us.
Mark, thank you for coming in. We've gotten a chance to work with you on a couple of projects, but this is probably the longest that we've had to sit and just have a conversation.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun. Drew, last bit for weather. What's it look?
Sunny.
Thank you. Matt Hinshaw, thanks for letting me hang out. Leza, enjoy your vacation. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Matt Santos on KYCA News Talk Radio.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, longer? Now, first rush and now stretch. All right, what's the weather like, Drew?
God.
Is it still sunny
Well, we're
out?
going to have some winds out of the southwest. No, we are going to have some winds out of the southwest, about 10 to 15 miles an hour. But for everybody else out there, just enjoy the day. Have a wonderful day. It's going to be beautiful. Again, high of 83 and a low of 52.
Is that Jason behind you pulling the plug on me and my radio career? Mark Domingo, thanks
Yes.
for coming in.
Thank you all.
YRMC.org. Check it out. Volunteer. Have a great day, folks.